Mike Sayer and I work for Bentley Motorsport, and on this episode of Crimsafe Talking Tech, it's going to be my job to walk you through the Bentley Continental GT3. Bentley's back in motorsport. We came back to racing last year in 2014 with a debut season in Europe, building on a strong tradition of motorsport in Bentley's past. Bentley's built on a foundation of motorsport from the 1920s where we won Le Mans 5 times and set a British record in that time. We returned to Le Mans in 2001, finishing third, and that was a 3-year programme that culminated with a 1-2 finish in 2003, so returning the Bentley brand with a British driver in Guy Smith to the top step of the Le Mans podium. A couple of years ago, our Director of Motorsport, Brian Gush, decided it was time for the brand to go racing again, and 2 years later, here we are at Bathurst in Australia, having completed our debut season last year with 2 race victories in Europe, 1 race victory in America, and finishing second in the Blancpain Endurance Series. Designed from and based on our Continental GT luxury Grand Tourer. The Continental GT as a luxury car is quite heavy. It weighs 2,300 kilograms. But what most people don't realise is that that weight is inherently in the luxury elements of the car. The Continental GT has, for example, almost 50 ECUs. It has seats that are full of motors and cooling fans and heating pads and massage systems. It even has double glazing. Once you take all of that weight out through those luxury items, what you're left with is a cutting edge and extremely stiff steel monocoque and a lightweight, very advanced powertrain. And it's that we use to create the Continental GT3. So by removing these luxury items, along with the leather and the wood that are synonymous with Bentley, we end up with a race car that weighs under 1,300 kilograms, which is absolutely on par with our competition. So starting with the engine, this is our 4-litre twin-turbo V8 engine from the Bentley Continental GT V8. It's an extremely advanced engine, lightweight design, direct injection with 2 turbos. Those turbos have been repositioned from the road car, and that allows us to move the engine down and back in the chassis as permitted by the rules of GT3 competition. So that's allowed us to optimise the weight distribution. The base engine itself is exactly as you find in the Continental GT V8 road car. In the race car, it will make up to 600 horsepower, but one of the ways that the car is performance balanced to make sure that we don't run away with the competition is through limiting the power, and the organisers do that principally through turbo boost and through intake restrictors in the inlet system. Along with the engine power, the organisers also balance our performance through weight in the form of ballast and aerodynamics from the front and the rear in things like the size and angle of the rear wing. So I mentioned that we've moved the engine down and back. That's created space in the engine bay for the cooling pack that you see here with the radiator and the intercoolers for the turbocharger system. And then we've built stiffening into the body here around the suspension turrets as well. So every Continental GT starts with the steel monocoque from the road-going car. What we do is we take that monocoque, and at our technical partner M Sport we remove some of the excess weight from there and then add in the roll cage. We can remove that excess weight because obviously the road car doesn't have a roll cage, so in adding the cage we add a lot of stiffness to the car, and that means we can take out some of the panels that exist on the road car. So what we end up with is a super strong, super stiff steel racing shell. And to that we then bolt the engine and the drivetrain, the suspension and the interior. And that's what adds up to a 1,300 kilogram racer. Other differences to the road car are in the exterior panels. So the race car very deliberately is highly recognisable as a Continental GT. It has the road car shape, but the exterior panels and the doors are made in carbon fibre. So I mentioned earlier the weight saving. A fully trimmed, fully loaded door from the road car weighs 57 kilos with the double glazing, the leather, the wood and the speakers and the motors. A fully trimmed race car door weighs 7 kilos, so there's 100 kilos just in the 2 doors. The driver's environment of the Continental GT3 is designed principally to be safe, first and foremost, to protect our drivers, and then secondly, to be as ergonomic and usable as possible. They have to be comfortable, because if they're not, they won't be able to concentrate on driving quickly. So, very secure safety cell in here, made up of the roll cage, and then this extremely secure carbon fibre seat with a racing harness. You can see here the racing wheel as well, through which the drivers control all of the subsystems of the car. Through this they can select engine maps, traction control systems, different braking systems for the ABS as well, and also communicate with the engineers in the pit garage and on the pit lane wall as well. They've got a comprehensive driver instrument system here as well, which will tell them everything from engine temperature all the way through to tyre pressure and any alarms that are on the car as well. Now, every Bentley is a combination of luxury and performance. This car is obviously at the extreme end of performance, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have luxury touches. If it didn't, it wouldn't be a Bentley. So on the seat here, you can see a hand-stitched Continental GT3 logo, and even the gear shift paddles on the back of the steering wheel are taken straight from the Bentley Mulsanne. One of the things that people ask us is why our GT3 car is right-hand drive, and the answer is very simple. We're a British company making a British car, and us Brits, we drive on the right. So that was a really quick overview of the Bentley Continental GT3. We've got a really busy year of racing ahead of us, in that what we're trying to do is prove the performance of this car to the absolute limit. And that means racing around the world, in America, in Europe, in Asia, and starting here in Australia. Our intention is that we're going to race in the premier endurance events all across the globe, and the Bathurst 12 Hour is certainly one of those.
Shut the door on scary with the one and only Crimsafe. Installed by licensed Crimsafe technicians, partnered with Crime Stoppers. Up to 15 years warranty. If it's not Crimsafe, it's not Crimsafe. Only at licensed dealers. Visit crimsafe.com.au.